this is a speech. These are some remarks that I really shouldn't have to make. But late this afternoon here, I rise to discuss more amazing actions from our nation's tax collector. This is unfortunately an agency that is fast becoming the gang that cannot shoot straight. The folks who brought us the partisan suppression of free speech, who piled onto that with proposed rules to shut down political action by groups with which they disagree or don't favor, and by the same team that shares confidential taxpayer information with their allies outside of government. Obviously, I'm talking about the Internal Revenue Service. Now, here's a great deal. Break the law, you are required to enforce, get a cash bonus and free time off. Now, what on earth is this all about? Well, last week, the Treasury Department's Inspector General for Tax Administration issued a report, which I have here, on the Internal Revenue Service bonuses that were awarded to personnel who have violated the tax laws or who have been subject to serious infractions of employee policy. This is a lot like asking somebody, if you hired somebody to go to work for you and then they stole money from you and acted in ways that are very inappropriate, would you give them a bonus? I don't think most business people would say that. And according to the Inspector General, close to $3 million was awarded to staff with violations on their records, with about half amount of that going to people who have violated the tax code. Other personnel at the IRS received cash bonuses, Mr. President, or other awards despite being cited, listen to this, for drug use, making violent threats, fraudulently claiming unemployment benefits, obviously probably food stamps as well, and misusing government credit cards. Still, they got bonuses up to $3 million. In fact, the report indicates that close to 70% of IRS personnel receive some sort of performance award, 70% of the IRS. That's rather remarkable when you think about the sorts of problems your average taxpayer has in getting help from that particular agency. This is flatly outrageous, if not appalling or atrocious, and cannot be tolerated. It also makes me wonder what you have to do to be disqualified from an award. More disturbing, these awards, even for people breaking the law, are perfectly acceptable under current IRS and government-wide guidelines. Let me repeat that. These awards, even for people breaking the law, are perfectly acceptable under current IRS and government-wide guidelines. Indeed, the IG report makes it clear that under the terms of the collective bargaining agreement with the main union for IRS employees, these awards are appropriate and cannot be taken away because of such violations. The distribution of these awards at a time when the IRS is under scrutiny for its actions concerning the political activity of conservative groups, when its performance of basic taxpayer service functions have drastically worsened, and when it is calling for additional funding, call into question the agency's commitment to fair enforcement of our tax laws. The IG report recognized these awards, while not technically prohibited, appear to be in conflict with the IRS's charge of ensuring integrity of the system of the tax administration. Well, no kidding. Thank goodness for the IG. Thank goodness for the Inspector General. Now, that is what we call an understatement. Maybe the understatement of the year. This is another fox and hen house story. Not only is the fox in the hen house, but he is now being rewarded for eating the chickens. These performance awards are just plain wrong, Mr. President, and should not go to anyone who breaks the law, particularly the laws which the agency enforces. These bonus awards weaken public confidence in the nation's tax enforcement agency and are a sign that the agency has indeed run off the rails. The Inspector General report recommended that the IRS create a new policy to take disciplinary actions into account when awarding bonuses. Certainly a great recommendation. Well, it seems to me we need to do more than set up a new policy or guideline. We need something more concrete and more immediate. This is why today I am joining with my friends Senators Enzi, Rubio, Toomey, Thune, Johans, Isaacson, and Leader McConnell to introduce the No Bonuses for Delinquent IRS Employees Act, a bill that should never have to be introduced. And I thank my colleagues for joining me, and more especially Senator Enzi, who has done an awful lot of work on this and helped expose this from the first. Our bill is pretty simple. It will prohibit the IRS from providing any performance award to any IRS employee who owes an outstanding federal tax debt for failing to pay their taxes. Nobody likes to have their taxes audited. Nobody likes to get that phone call. Nobody likes to see the tax man at the door. And then if the tax man says, "I'm sorry, you owe X for, say, perhaps a violation of Y," and you find out that this individual got a performance bonus because he or she fails to meet the tax obligations that they face, that's rather incredible. Given what we know about recent IRS actions and the growing discontent with the agency I hear from Kansans every day, continuing to award personnel bonuses to employees who have outstanding tax liabilities or have violated the tax laws is beyond comprehension, outrageous, and should be stopped. This is not a partisan issue. It's just plain common sense. The IRS should not be in the business of awarding bonuses to its agents who are unable or unwilling to abide by the tax laws they are directed to uphold. Simple as that. So I call upon all my colleagues to support the No Bonus for Delinquent IRS Employees Act, and will ask for its immediate consideration. I doubt that that will be the case given the business or the non-business before the Senate. And in closing, I would like to point out this is a 26-page report by the Inspector General. Thank the Inspector General for the work that he has done. And right there, it says right on the first, the awards program complied with federal regulations, but some employees with tax and conduct issues received awards. They complied with federal regulations, but some employees with tax and conduct issues received awards. That's an oxymoron. And then if you skip to the back, there is some recommendations. And the recommendation is for corrective action. And this is what it says. Give me a little time here. The IRS Human Capital Officer, that is Daniel Reardon. Daniel Reardon is the IRS Human Capital Officer, will conduct, according to this IG investigation, a feasibility study. They don't take action right away. They just want to discuss the feasibility of a study by June 30 of this year, just a couple of months away, for the implementation of a policy requiring management to consider, doesn't say just to do it, says to consider conduct issues resulting in disciplinary actions, especially the non-payment of taxes owed to the federal government prior to awarding all types of performance and discretionary awards. So Daniel Reardon has received marching orders from the Attorney General to conduct a feasibility study by June 30, saying that they would consider a conduct code resulting in disciplinary actions, especially in the non-payment of taxes owed to the federal government prior to awarding all types of performance and discretionary awards. We really don't need this legislation. We have introduced it to force action. The Inspector General says, let's have action. On 26 pages, he says, let's have action. So to Daniel Reardon, I have the following advice. Before we get 60 people on this to finally make it a bill that passes. He is the human capital officer. Why don't you just go ahead and do it? Don't conduct a feasibility study. We have all of the evidence right here. And if you would just do this, it would remove yet another problem, another unfortunate asterisk when we think of the IRS. I want to thank my colleagues for co-sponsoring this legislation, and again ask for its immediate consideration. Mr. President, I yield.